saving Jesus from Satanism. Muslim, who hates God more than any in the entire universe.
Christian, Allah, because Allah is Satan and Muhammad is the son of the devil.
Muslim, Allah is the same word Arabic Christians use for God. We understand that nearly every church, Christian radio and TV teach Allah is Satan, but would you believe that Islam saves Jesus from Satan? Here is the saving Jesus from Satan chart for you. Satan. Allah the laws wants humans to not follow the laws of God. Genesis 3:1-3, Ephesians 2:15, wants humans to follow the laws of God. Quran 13:14, suicide wants humans to think God killed himself. Matthew 4:5-6, Romans 3:25, God does not die. Quran 16:96, divinity wants humans to worship idols. Deuteronomy 32:16-17, does not want humans to worship flesh gods. Quran 4:116, lying the father of confusion. John 8:44, the clarifier. Quran 5:48. Satan wants humans to think God died and consequently for humans to assume they no longer had to obey the commandments of God. Modern Christianity naively teaches Satanism, the opposite of what Jesus Christ originally taught. For modern Christians to superimpose the teachings of Satanism onto the original Jesus is to fall victim to the greatest deceiver and to hate Jesus. Muslims love Jesus more than Christians by recognizing Satanism in modern Christianity and never associating the teachings of Satan onto the original Jesus Christ. By Islam teaching God never died and never dies, this defeats the satanic teaching of modern Christianity. By Islam teaching that we are accountable for our sins and accountable for following the commandments of God, we love Jesus more than Christians because we do not let the devil defeat the teaching of obeying God that the original Jesus taught. Morning Star. Muslim, then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. John 8:12. These passages each describe Satan and Jesus as the morning star. Venus, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations. Isaiah 14:12. This passage describes Satan's fall from heaven. In case there's any doubt about who Lucifer is, I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. Reverend 22:16. Jesus is also referred to as morning star in Reverend 2:28 and 2 Pet 1:19.
Christian, the translation calling Jesus the morning star is not included in some other Bible editions.
Muslim, this is the danger of mistranslations and various Bible editions and manuscripts. One wrong word can have readers state that Jesus is Satan, and just as evil is to state Jesus is God. Jesus is neither. Jesus is a holy prophet from God who taught to love God and love to obey God and do works. To either believe Jesus is Satan as some Bible editions say or to say Jesus is God as some mistranslations claim, either way is Satanism, because either Satan killed himself or Jesus killed himself, both notions being evil. The greatest deception. Muslim, the Bible states that Satan was manifest at the time of Jesus and tried to get Jesus to commit suicide. Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. If you are the Son of God, he said, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. Matthew 4:5-6. Thus in a court of law we see that intent and motive and presence is all available in the case of the devil wanting to trick Christians to think Jesus committed suicide so they no longer have to obey the laws of God. Intent. Satan in Matthew 4:5-6 wants Jesus to kill himself. Motive. If Jesus kills himself as Christians claim happened on the cross, then Satan wins the war of making humans abandon God's laws. Presence. Satan was there at that time period speaking to Jesus directly. When Satan failed in getting Jesus to kill himself, Satan then instead deceived one of the weaker disciples, Paul, for we wanted to come to you, certainly I, Paul, did, again and again, but Satan blocked our way. 1 Thessalonians 2:18. Therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan, to torment me. 2 Corinthians 12-7. Paul said God's law was a curse. Galatians 3:10-13. Something Satan would say. Jesus said laws are a blessing. Matthew 5:18-19. Who's lying? Paul condemned Jesus and his disciples for false teachings. He condemned Jesus himself for having long hair in 1 Corinthians 11:14, something approved in Numbers 6-5, and Judges 13-5. Jesus said, keep the Sabbath, Mark 2:27, circumcise male children, Luke 2:21. Paul said, circumcision is not necessary, Romans 2:26, that is going against what Christ said in Luke 2:21. Paul states, all things are permissible, 1 Corinthians 6:12. This is exactly what modern Satanism teaches, indulgence rather than abstinence. If we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel to you than what we, Paul and his followers, have preached to you, let him be accursed. Gal 1:18. Who would curse at angels from heaven other than one possessed by Satan? Further evidence that Paul was possessed by Satan and twisted modern Christianity into Satanism is Paul saying his God is Satan. To this end Christ died and lived again, that he might be Lord both of the dead and of the living. Romans 14:9. The Bible teaches that the Lord of death is actually Satan. Since, therefore, the children share flesh and blood, he himself likewise shared the same things, so that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is, the devil, and free those who all their lives were held in slavery by the fear of death. Hebrews 2:14-15.
Christian, after Jesus died, Jesus became a Lord of death.
Muslim, first of all, others in the Bible died and came back to life. That does not make them gods or lords of death. Second, to claim Jesus died is to prove Jesus has a weakness, just as kryptonite is Superman's weakness. So if Jesus can be killed or commit suicide, then Jesus has a weakness and is not the God of anything. Third, Islam clarifies that Allah is the God of life and death, and He, i.e., man, presents for us an example, i.e., attempting to establish the finality of death, and forgets His own creation. He says, who will give life to bones while they are disintegrated? Say, He will give them life who produced them the first time, and He is, of all creation, knowing, it is, He who made for you from the green tree, fire, and then from it you ignite. Is not He who created the heavens and the earth able to create the likes of them? Yes, it is so, and He is the knowing Creator. Quran 36:78-81. Further proof that Paul worshipped Satan and not God is, however, the Most High does not live in temples made by human hands. Acts 7:48. Paul is saying His Most High, Satan, does not enter or live in temples, whereas Jesus says God is in temples, and whoever swears by the temple swears by it and by Him who dwells on that place. Matthew 23:21. Jesus says nations of the world are under Satan, John 12:31 and John 14:30, but Paul says their rulers are agents of God, Romans 13:1. Jesus teaches rapture is of evil ones first, Matthew 13:41, but Paul teaches the opposite, 1 Thess. 4:15-18. To Paul, the evildoers are the righteous because of his possession by Satan, whereas Jesus says the wicked will be removed first. Jesus says some are righteous, Mark 2:17, but Paul says it is impossible, Romans 3:23. Possessed by Satan, Paul sees all humans as evil, whereas Jesus says most are righteous, as in algebra, if x equals 3, and Jesus is saying that x is Satan, and Paul is saying 3 is his God, then according to Jesus, Paul is worshipping Satan. If the teachings of Paul are recognized as invalid and corrupt by Satan, then modern Christianity would not insist Jesus committed evil suicide and that humans don't have to follow the laws of God. Therefore, Christians love Paul more than Jesus despite Paul apparently being possessed by Satan, whereas Muslims recognize Paul's satanic influences and Muslims love Jesus more.